It's just going to have to be what it is.
Got it?
Always.
Touchdown.
Hi, I'm Austin Eartham.
I'm David, and welcome to the Kitchen Table Podcast.
We're here to motivate, educate, and relate to you guys, sharing our stories, helping you get 1% better in all areas of your life. Taylor scored a touchdown. The computer is working. You people can see how much of a hooligan he looks like on the YouTube. If you guys want to hop over there and see this after the fact, obviously. We're live right now, though. But anyways, this week, 1440. Remember, 14 minutes and 40 seconds is 1% of your day. So we're going to be talking about forgiveness. Now, we'll forgive you for that awful intro in your touchdown.
I appreciate you. Means a lot, honestly.
Just kidding. I didn't really feel like that was a big deal. It is what it is. Forgiveness, though. We talked about on Tuesday how difficult it is for me. And we talked about I'm maybe more of a stubborn person, and you are not. And you're pretty good at not holding a grudge, and you let things go and move on pretty quick. But you agreed most people, it's tough to ask for forgiveness or to forgive.
Yeah.
So then I came up with a question about how do you feel about asking for forgiveness if you're the one in the wrong?
Yes.
And do you have to do it a lot?
I used to feel super guilty.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on the situation. It really just
if it's serious or not.
Yeah.
Like actually, like if you perceive it as serious, I guess. It's like I ask forgiveness a lot, and it's just me being stupid for a minute. Like, hey, Austin, like shape up. You know what I mean?
And the great thing is at work we're like taught to have follow-ups, and that if like you feel some type of way towards someone, and that you have an agenda or feeling towards someone, you have a follow-up with them. You talk through it, you work through like those issues and problems, and that. And I just think it's become a lot more easy for me to like talk about like forgiveness and asking for forgiveness, or be like, hey, like I apologize for being in the wrong, and that because like again I work with kids, like we're humans, so like we do make mistakes, and that we call out the wrong kid, we hold the wrong kids accountable for things they didn't do, so they have to backtrack and make it right with those kids that like you wrong, and just being able to say like, hey, like I'm sorry, I mean, just being vulnerable. That's it. It's like you have to allow yourself to be vulnerable in those moments and say, hey, I'm human. I was wrong. I want to make it right. How do I make it right with you?
Yeah, I think being the man and standing up and saying that is something that all of society could use. Yeah. I think that shows a lot of integrity.
Yeah. I think you also have to be prepared to ask or seek forgiveness and not receive it.
And be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. A lot of times you think, oh, if I forgive them, they'll forgive me.
Yeah, that's not necessarily the case.
Which is ideally the case, but yeah, not all the time. But at least you'll be set free if you think that way. You know what I mean? Like if they hold the grudge, you can't control how they feel. You did your part. You at least feel like you can move on, hopefully, because you did all you can. You know, you put your best foot forward.
Right. And if you're seeking forgiveness and you wrong someone, then just taking responsibility and that fact is already a step forward in the right direction.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about honesty next week. I think a lot of times with forgiveness, if you're honest about the situation, where you came from, and why you made the decision you did in the moment, I think that's a great way to have them hopefully understand why you are asking for forgiveness and made the wrong choice in the moment. Because again, we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes at some point or make the wrong decision. That's just part of this side of heaven. Yeah. So how can we be the bigger person and say, hey, you know what? I messed up here. I apologize. You feel you have to ask for forgiveness a lot?
The biggest person I have to ask for forgiveness from is you.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
I feel like I'm always...
Again, it's like the expectations I talked about on Tuesday. And I think I come from a mold of I want everybody to be their best selves.
Yeah. And
again, it's kind of like I'm very controlling and want to be in charge of the whole world. I think is another reason.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of my way. and I like that. But I also want people to reach their best selves and be the best they can. But sometimes I gotta open my heart to be a little more. I used to on Tuesday, you gotta be open to things because my way necessarily isn't the right way all the time. Like sometimes being messy is okay, and that's the way you get things done. You know what I mean? I gotta be okay with that. It's just when it affects me,
Yeah.
and I don't have that same way.
Yeah.
Then it's like, come on.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes two people need to ask for forgiveness at the same time. Like there is no right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just letting your emotions get the best of you. A lot of times people in an argument say things that they regret saying in the moment.
Yeah, when you're mad.
Yeah, I heard that person, and emotions fly, and then next thing you know, you both are asking for forgiveness.
Yeah.
I think that happens a lot too in society, and I think sometimes in the job setting, like with your team, that happens quite a bit as well. And then you start holding a grudge in that person, then you don't like them, then you don't want to work with them. But really, you should just let it go because everything will be better in the end if you can work together.
Mm-hmm.
This is also probably a reason why people get divorced. They just don't ask for forgiveness, or they think their way is correct when it's not. So,
Yeah.
it's tough. Forgiveness is tough, man.
Because especially when when people put pressure on you towards something towards like they feel some type of way about something and give you feedback on it, usually the first thing you go into is defense mode.
Yeah.
And then you have 100 reasons or 100 excuses about why this happened, why it happened. Even if you're completely wrong, you messed up, you effed up, but you're still going to. And I think it's just like a survival thing. Because people have to make their mind right to
feel good about it or move on or whatever.
And
I agree.
Because I feel like if you constantly had to second guess or second judge your every decision to make sure you're not going to feel guilty about stepping on someone's toes or making a wrong choice, you're never going to make a decision.
You're just not living a fulfilled life. You're just second guessing everything. You know, it's a rough one.
Yeah.
On the flip side, your comment made me think of this. If you are, let's say, like on Tuesday, you said you're hanging out with the wrong crowd. Let's say you're hanging out with the wrong crowd and they want to do something, but you know it's wrong and you don't do it and you say no to them.
Mm.
Do you feel the need to ask for forgiveness for not going with them and doing it? Like in like a gang, you say no and the gang is mad at you. Do you feel like you need to ask for forgiveness? Even though you did the right thing.
I think because of the peer pressure
makes
you forgive people. Like you might not want the forgiveness or you think that you need to give it, but then with the peer pressure, people feel some type of way.
So then do you feel guilt or do you just feel like it's peer pressure, you say it, you move on?
You feel guilty through the peer pressure.
So then it becomes kind of who you are and you actually feel guilty for not following through with the thing, even if it might be a bad thing.
Yeah, then it comes with the peer pressure and your mind isn't like feeling.
I think
what if they are like not at ease and right?
Yeah, just stress.
Yeah. Your mind will make decisions to make your life as easy as possible. And they don't like those emotions that feel uncomfortable.
You get the bad endorphins and stuff released.
Yeah.
I don't like those, the bad chemicals.
Yeah. That's why people don't like feeling guilty. So when things happen, they feel ashamed.
Yeah, and then that leads to other. Shame leads to depressed, to all that other stuff too. Like one thing leads to another. Yeah, avoidance, and then that makes them the human that makes their being. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially at a young age, it kind of guilts you into being this type of person, or an event happens. That's why trauma is such a big thing. Something happens, and next thing you know, that's who you are as a human being. So we gotta get out of that funk. Now, how do we get out of that funk would be the $1 million question.
Yeah.
How do you get out of feeling guilty? Like some people say, I have a guilty personality. How do you get out of
processing it, listening, talking about it?
Yeah, I think talking about it is a great place to start.
Yeah, move on. Trauma, to me, trauma is just life that happened to you that you haven't processed through. Is that how
Yeah, I think you could have processed it. I don't think you're ready to forgive it, maybe, is what I would say. Like, you're not ready, like, you're not okay with what happened still.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've come to a point where, like, I'm okay, like, that Tristan and Justin passed away.
Mm-hmm.
But it still makes me nervous to drive in a way.
Yeah, but, yeah, I guess
That's what it says. Like, I processed that it was their time to go, and like, the impact they made will.
Yeah.
A lot of times, this trauma is just like that to process, or processed in the right way, in like a healthy way.
Yeah, but there's got to be a negative chemical that's released in your brain for trauma, for forgiveness, for guilt, for regret. Some sort of chemical has to be released. It's all got to be roughly somewhat of the same family, we'll say.
Yeah, because, I mean, like, then you just break it. It's kind of like, it's like any other big emotion.
Yeah.
Because trauma is broken down into PTSD, anger, anxiety, being triggered, which will fall into, I forgot what I just said, sadness.
Man, I got all this. I don't have sadness though. You get lonely.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like trauma can be released in certain different types of ways.
Yeah, I think you can. I think you can forgive in different types of ways too. Though, going off that.
Yeah.
Like, there's more than we've been talking a lot about verbally. You know, like we talk about love language. Sometimes gifts is a good way to forgive, or doing something around the house for your spouse or whatever it might be.
Have you seen
Buying your kid a new teddy bear.
Yeah. Did we watch The Shack together?
Yeah, we watched it in college.
That's a great movie.
I don't know. It's
a great book.
Good movie, good book. I think everybody should watch it, but it's not for me and my sleeping habits. It just wouldn't that go well. So I'm just not gonna watch it again. I told Steph to watch it by herself.
Really? You think you'd be triggered by that?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Really?
100%.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's like, it's a very emotional roller coaster for me, because like when they show, like, you think someone's gonna jump out at you, empty shacks, like scary music, dark, mysterious, dead body, all that stuff, teddy bears laying there, you know, and then next thing you know, it's very calm. Jesus is right there, and you're talking to Jesus, and you see the ocean, and then it's like boom, 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 and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to avoid life then.
So if you were put in a position where like you had to be in war, like in a war scenario, how do you think like you'd react to that? Do you think like you think you automatically you'd have PTSD just because of how your brain works? Like you'd be so hyper focused on it, like you would be.
This is interesting because I don't think I would have PTSD. Like, I would have nightmares and that stuff, but I wouldn't think like mentally. I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm scared of something, or I love the past. You know, like it would just happen. Yeah. It would just be subconscious. Yeah. It could happen. Yeah. But I think if I went in a jail cell, that would actually like make me go crazy by my brain. I'd have to really like have some mental toughness and figure out some ways to keep me occupied. Yeah. My brain just goes all over the place. I'd love to get an EEG once.
I don't know what that is.
Like a brain scan.
Okay.
And see what happens. You get the electrodes and see the different stuff going through the ink, and you can see like where you're firing and stuff.
Yes.
I want to see like what my brain like reacts to different things, and where my like frontal lobe, like your temporal lobe, like when it all triggers and how it functions and stuff. I think that's very interesting. And I think forgiveness, like you grudge, like your heart kind of, you feel it, you know, it's like a stress. I think there's probably something in the brain too that triggers when you feel like guilt as well. Yeah.
It's kind of odd way to talk, but I was like, because last night you were like talking, you're like yelling in your sleep. Like,
last night was it?
Yeah, like 11:30. It's so loud I paused, and I'm like, we about to go through it again, I guess.
What did I say?
I couldn't hear.
Everybody
I couldn't make out words.
It's
like wow. You're like talking super loud. It's like muffled. Like I'm hearing through 3 walls. So I paused it, and then you said like another 2 or 3 words, and then stopped.
Well, I got a ton of REM sleep last night. Like I got an hour more than I normally get. Interesting. I got
Figures
some
on
more.
that.
No, I don't know what I did. A couple nights ago, I slept walk, looking out my window, and then I wake up now and I sleep walk though. So I'm getting better at it. I mean, it's just my subconscious knows like, hey, this isn't real.
Yeah.
But I don't remember my first dream last night. I remember my last one. So, like, I'll remember when I wake up, and I'll forget throughout the day.
Yeah.
I only remember the important ones. All right. Anyways, that's 1440. Taylor, forgive me for keeping them up last night, and we'll catch you guys next week with honesty.
Love you. Bye. You know I don't.